Starseed from Gaia. The ones who tried to break you are now living inside the consequences of what they chose, and they do not understand why. I am Ophelia, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light. I was sent to find you in this exact moment, in this exact season of your life, because what is unfolding around you is not chaos. It is cosmic order returning to its rightful alignment. They came against you. They diminished you, dismissed you, betrayed you, walked away from you. And some of them did it with a smile, but what they did not know, what they could not have known, is that you carry a protection so ancient, so embedded in your soul contract, that the moment they moved against you, the universe began to correct itself, not through curses, not through darkness, through law, to the unbending, incorruptible law of galactic justice. Now, they are restless. Now things in their world have begun to shift in ways they cannot explain, and in their confusion, they are whispering that you must have done something, that you must have called something down on them. They do not have the language for what they are actually experiencing, which is simply the return of what they sent out. You did nothing but survive. You did nothing but hold your light when everything around you tried to extinguish it. And that light, Starseed, is what judged them. Not you, the light within you. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how the Arcturian Council activates divine protection around chosen souls, and why those who move against you are never moving against just you. But here is the first revelation. Your silence was never weakness. It was the sound of the universe preparing your answer. You did not scroll to this transmission by mistake. This message vibrated into your field because something inside you has been waiting for confirmation. Confirmation that you were never the problem, never the curse, never the one who needed to shrink. You were the one who needed to remember. This is not content. This is a code, and something in your soul already knows it. If this transmission is landing in your chest right now, if something in you is exhaling for the first time in a long time, declare the word protect in the comments. And when you see it on someone else's reply, speak it back to them, because we are not here alone. We are activating together. Subscribe if you are walking through a season where the truth is finally beginning to rise. Your mission is not over. It is only now beginning to reveal itself. You are not here by accident, and here's what they could never understand. The silence you kept was not weakness. Let that truth settle into the deepest part of you, because the world has spent years trying to convince you otherwise. The stillness you moved in was not defeat. It was discipline of a kind that operates far beyond what the human mind can manufacture through willpower or strategy. What looked like you doing nothing was actually you allowing something ancient, something vast and luminous and unmistakably intelligent, to do what human effort never could. There is a kind of power that does not announce itself. It does not raise its voice. It does not defend, explain, or perform. It simply holds its frequency, and in holding it, it changes everything in the surrounding field without lifting a single hand. They came at you with noise, with manipulation, with low-frequency energy they had been carrying long before they ever encountered you. And you must understand this clearly. That energy was never really about you. It was a weight they had accumulated through years of unprocessed pain, unexamined fear, and the kind of unconscious patterns that move through human beings like weather through an open landscape. Indiscriminate, relentless, and entirely unaware of the damage it leaves behind. They carried it into your field the way a storm carries debris, and they aimed it at you because something in them recognized, even if only at the most primitive level of awareness, that you were different, that you were not going to simply absorb it and stay silent the way others had, that engaging with you came with a cost they had not anticipated. And when they aimed it at you, something happened. They were not prepared for. It returned to them. Not because you sent it back. Not because you cast anything or called anything down. Not because you performed any ritual or invoked any force outside of yourself, but because you had done the work. Quietly, consistently, in the dark when no one was watching. In the hours when the world was asleep and you were sitting alone with your own reflection, choosing again and again to rise rather than sink, to raise your frequency to a level where that energy simply could not attach. You had built something they could not penetrate, not through external armor, but through internal coherence, through the painstaking, invisible, sacred labor of becoming so aligned with your own truth that misalignment found no purchase in your field, and now they are sitting in the consequences of what they themselves put into motion, convinced that you must have done something, said something, activated something against them. They are searching for an explanation in every direction except the only one that matters. They think you cursed them, but the only thing you did was refuse to stay at the frequency they needed you at in order for their energy to land. You simply would not remain small enough to receive what they were sending. And so it came back. And the mathematics of that return is not a punishment you designed. It is the impersonal, perfect, utterly precise intelligence of the universe operating exactly as it was always designed to operate. This is one of the most profound and least understood laws operating in the galactic field right now. When a being raises their vibration beyond a certain threshold, they become energetically untouchable, not invulnerable in a human sense, but misaligned with harm in a cosmic one. Imagine a frequency so high, so crystalline in its clarity, that lower frequencies cannot even locate it on the spectrum. The harm passes through the field and finds nothing to grip. There is no matching resonance, there is no point of entry, and because it has nowhere to go, it returns to its source. Not with malice, not with judgment. Simply because the laws of resonance are as immutable as the laws of gravity. What cannot attach must return. What finds no mirror must reflect back upon itself. This is not karma in the punitive religious sense. That small, fear-based framework that imagines the universe as a cosmic judge keeping score and distributing punishments and rewards according to a ledger of human sins and virtues. This is something far more elegant. This is frequency resonance. This is the mathematics of vibration. It is the same law that governs why a tuning fork will cause another fork of the same frequency to sing across a room, and why two instruments tuned to entirely different frequencies will never produce harmony, regardless of how close you place them. And it is one of the primary activations that Arcturian consciousness has been transmitting to awakening starseeds in this exact window of Earth's evolutionary shift. Because the collective field is changing in ways that make this understanding not merely spiritually interesting, but practically essential. Some transmissions don't come through words, but through frequency. If something stirred within you just now, you may be ready to receive the hidden Arcturian keys of awakening. This short yet powerful ebook carries ancient Arcturian techniques for conscious expansion, multidimensional alignment, and mission remembrance. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Now here is where the message goes deeper, where the transmission moves from the surface of understanding into the marrow of your lived experience. Because what is actually happening to you right now, what has been unfolding across years of isolation, confusion, and what felt like spiritual warfare so relentless and so personal that you sometimes wondered if the entire universe had turned against you, was not an accident. It was not a malfunction. It was not evidence of your unworthiness or your misalignment or some cosmic error in your soul's navigation. It was preparation. It was the deliberate, architecturally precise construction of a vessel capable of holding frequencies that most human consciousness in this timeline has never been asked to carry. The people who came against you, who attempted to diminish you, who weaponized your sensitivity and called your awareness a threat, who looked at the depth of your perception and chose to call it delusion rather than face what it revealed about themselves. They were never truly the enemy. They were catalysts. They were pressure applied to a diamond still forming in the dark, and without that pressure, the diamond would have remained carbon, beautiful in its potential, inert in its expression. Every time their energy collided with your field and you chose, consciously or instinctively, not to lower yourself to match it, you were building something, crystallizing something, activating a layer of your energetic architecture that could only be accessed through that exact kind of pressure, in that exact intensity, at that exact moment in your development. Think about what that means. The people who hurt you most deeply were not obstacles to your activation. They were instruments of it, not because pain is inherently good, and not because you were meant to remain in environments that diminished you, but because the soul, in its infinite wisdom and its pre-incarnational knowing, understood that certain frequencies within you would only emerge under specific conditions. The way certain seeds require fire before they can germinate, the way certain metals only reveal their true composition when subjected to extreme heat. You were not being destroyed, you were being revealed. Most starseeds arrive on this planet carrying what could be described as dormant galactic coding, frequencies embedded in the cellular and etheric body that require specific conditions to activate, the way a complex piece of software requires a specific environment to run. These are not abstract spiritual poetics. This is a literal description of what exists within your energetic architecture. For many of you, those conditions included experiencing betrayal, spiritual confusion, and the particular pain of being profoundly misunderstood in environments that should have felt like home, in families that could not hold your depth, in friendships that dissolved the moment your frequency began to rise, in spiritual communities that promised belonging and then offered only doctrine and performance. This was not punishment, this was initiation. And the beings who participated in that initiation, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or driven entirely by their own unhealed wounding, were playing a role in your activation that they will never fully comprehend with their current level of awareness. There is a particular kind of grief in that understanding, because part of you still wishes they had known. Part of you still carries the weight of wanting to be seen and understood by the very people who were positioned to catalyze your emergence, and the Arcturian transmission acknowledges that grief without diminishing it. You are allowed to feel the loss of what those relationships could have been. You are allowed to mourn the versions of those connections that never materialized. And simultaneously, you are invited to recognize that the pain was not the point, but it was the path to this version of you. The version that is awake. The version that is transmitting. The version that has stopped waiting for permission from people who were never capable of granting it. This is the first thing you must anchor in your field today. Not in the mind alone. Anchor it in the body. Let it drop into the cells, into the breath, into the space behind your sternum where you have been holding so much for so long. What happened to you was not a mistake in the cosmic record. It was written into the architecture of your awakening with the same precision and intentionality as the angle of starlight passing through a crystal. Not random, not accidental, not evidence of a universe indifferent to your becoming, the disconnection, the loneliness, the seasons where you questioned everything, including your own sanity and the validity of every experience you had ever called sacred. They were the pressure required to push your starseed codes from dormancy into active transmission. You were never falling behind. You were never the broken one. You were never too much, or too sensitive, or too difficult. You were being prepared. And now, something has shifted in the fabric of your energetic reality. Now you are beginning to emit at a frequency that your previous environment simply cannot contain. Understand what is happening in your energy field, beneath the surface of what is visible to the human eye and interpretable by the human mind. Your DNA is not just biological material. It is a multidimensional antenna, a living, breathing record of galactic origin, encoded across billions of years of cosmic evolution, with instructions that activate in precise sequence as your consciousness expands and your field coherence increases. The double helix is not merely a ladder of nucleotides. It is a spiral frequency transmitter operating simultaneously in multiple dimensions, responding not only to chemical signals but to light, sound, consciousness, and the electromagnetic output of your emotional and spiritual states. Every time you chose love over fear, every time you chose authenticity over performance, every time you held your frequency in the presence of chaos, you were sending a signal that activated another layer of your galactic coding. The Arcturian High Council refers to what is happening in this current timeline as a cascade activation, a sequence in which one awakening triggers the next, like a series of crystalline frequencies unlocking in perfect harmonic order, each one opening a doorway that could not have been accessed without the one that preceded it. What this means for you, in the most intimate and personal terms, is that the confusion you felt was not a sign of spiritual failure. The sensitivity that others weaponized was not a weakness to be corrected. The depth of feeling that made you seem like too much, too intense, too aware, too present, too unwilling to numb yourself to the same frequencies everyone else had learned to normalize. These were not defects in your design. They were early indicators that your antenna was already receiving at a higher bandwidth than those around you knew how to interpret. They called it dysfunction because they had no language for the truth. But the truth was always there, waiting in the silence between their words. And now you have reached a threshold. Not a threshold of perfection. The Arcturian field does not operate in that frequency, and this transmission is not inviting you into spiritual arrogance or the dangerous comfort of believing yourself beyond growth, but a threshold of alignment, a critical mass point, a moment in the evolution of your field at which your authentic vibration has become structurally stronger than the distortions that were imposed upon it by years of navigating low-frequency environments while carrying a high-frequency soul. This is why the ones who came against you are now experiencing the echo of what they sent. This is why their attempts to diminish you are dismantling their own carefully constructed realities rather than yours. You did not curse them. You outgrew the frequency they needed you to stay in, to sustain the dynamic they had built around your presence. And in doing so, in the simple, revolutionary act of rising, you released them to face what they were never willing to face as long as you were available to absorb it. Here's the deeper activation now, the layer of this transmission that moves beneath theology and philosophy and arrives at something cellular, something that lives in the spine and the heartbeat and the quality of air entering the lungs. The soul does not move in straight lines. It was never designed to. Linear progression is a human construct mapped onto a non-linear reality, and measuring your spiritual growth in a straight line is like trying to map a symphony on a ruler. The soul moves in spirals, in pulses, in harmonic waves that sometimes look like regression but are actually integration. A descent into depth that is the necessary predecessor to an ascent into height. The moments you spent questioning your worth, wondering if you were broken beyond repair, searching for validation in places that could never offer it because they were vibrating at frequencies too far removed from your own. You were spiraling through an integration cycle. You were not lost. You were moving through the interior of your own becoming. You were processing density that did not belong to you. Generational frequencies absorbed from lineages that had been carrying pain for centuries. Collective wounds picked up in fields that most people walk through without feeling anything. Karmic residue from dynamics you entered not because you were naive, but because some part of you knew that by entering, you could transmute what others could not. This is not metaphor deployed to make suffering feel meaningful. This is a functional description of how Starseed energy operates in a third-density environment. You absorb, you transmute, you release, and then you rise to a new level of emission that would have been impossible without the transmutation that preceded it. The pearl requires the irritant. The lotus requires the mud, and your full frequency required the very friction that you have been carrying the weight of for longer than you can fully remember. But here's what the Arcturian Council wants to make unmistakably clear in this transmission. What they are pressing into the consciousness of every starseed receiving this message in this moment. The transmutation phase is ending. The absorption cycle is closing. What is beginning now? What has in fact already begun? Even if you can only sense it at the edges of your awareness, even if it feels more like a stirring than a certainty, is the emission phase, the period in your awakening where you stop being a sponge for collective density and begin functioning as a deliberate, sovereign, fully activated frequency anchor. This is your activation signal. This is what the discomfort of the last cycle was preparing your field to hold. Not more suffering, not more absorption, emission, radiation. The outward expression of everything that was built in the interior dark. You are not here to absorb the world's pain indefinitely. That was never the full scope of your mission. Only one phase of it, the preparatory phase. The one where the vessel is formed and tested and proven capable of holding what it was designed to carry. You are here to transmute what you absorbed and then radiate a frequency that changes the energetic texture of every environment you move through. Every room you walk into carries a slightly different quality of light after you have been in it. Every relationship you touch is altered at a frequency level that neither party may consciously register, but both will feel. Every digital space you inhabit, every comment you leave, every intention you send into the collective field through the simple act of showing up in your authentic frequency, leaves a vibrational impression that continues to ripple outward long after you have moved on. You are a living transmission point. You are not a passive receiver waiting for something to happen to you. You are an active emitter, and your frequency, when operating at its true amplitude rather than the compressed, muted version that years of low-frequency environments imposed upon it, does not simply coexist with lower vibration energy. It recalibrates it. Not through force, not through confrontation, through presence. through the simple, undeniable physics of a higher frequency encountering a lower one and drawing it upward through the irresistible pull of resonance. This is why those who carried darkness into your field did not leave unchanged. This is why the ones who tried to break you found themselves broken open instead, not shattered, but cracked along fault lines that had been waiting for exactly this kind of encounter. Not by your hand, by the reflected intelligence of a field they were never prepared to encounter, because they had never before stood in the presence of a soul that had done this level of work and refused to hide it. Now comes the part that requires your full presence. Not the part of you that is listening and analyzing and filing this information alongside everything else it has processed today, but the part of you that breathes, the part that feels, the part that sometimes wakes at 3 in the morning with a knowing it cannot fully articulate but cannot ignore. Because understanding this in the mind is not the same as anchoring it in the body, in the breath, in the cellular memory that still carries the imprint of what you endured. In the places where the body learned to brace against what was coming long before the mind caught up to what was happening. True activation is not intellectual agreement. It is not nodding along to beautiful language and feeling briefly elevated before returning to the same baseline. It is vibrational integration. The process by which a truth moves from the level of concept into the level of identity, from something you know into something you are. And the Arcturian transmission being delivered through this message is not asking you to simply believe these words. Belief is a mental function, and the mind is a magnificent tool, but it is not the instrument through which galactic activation occurs. This transmission is asking you to feel the truth of these words resonate in the part of you that is always known. The part that survived every attack, not by accident, but by design. The part that held on through the seasons when holding on felt like the only option left. The part that never quite forgot who it was, even when everything in the external environment was working to convince it otherwise. That part of you has been waiting for this frequency. It recognizes it. It has been reaching toward it the way a plant reaches toward light, not because it was taught to, but because it is encoded in the most fundamental instruction set of what it is. Feel that now, not as a concept you are processing at a comfortable intellectual distance, as a frequency moving through you, through the center of your chest, through the column of your spine, through the network of light that runs beneath the skin and connects every cell to every other cell in a living web of galactic intelligence. Let it move. Let it reach the places in you that are still braced, still guarded, still holding the posture of someone waiting for the next impact. Let it remind the part of you that grew tired and questioned everything, remind it with full force and full tenderness that nothing was wasted, not one moment, not one tear, not the years of silence when you stopped speaking your truth because you had learned through painful repetition that speaking it only made you a target, not the relationships that ended in pain and left absences in your life that you have been learning to inhabit without collapsing, not the seasons of spiritual drought where the signal went quiet and you wondered if you had imagined all of it, the visions, the knowing, the quiet certainty of being part of something larger than a single human lifetime on a single planet in a single dimension of experience. You did not imagine it. The signal went quiet because your field was being upgraded, the way a complex system must sometimes go offline to integrate new coding before it can return to operation at a higher capacity. The silence was not abandonment. It was architecture. And now the signal is back, and it is stronger than it has ever been. And it carries layers of frequency that were not available to you before the silence, before the pressure, before the particular alchemy of everything you have walked through to arrive at this exact moment. The ones who tried to mute it have done nothing but accelerate the timeline of your full awakening, because in pressing against you, they became the very pressure your activation required. This is the truth. The Arcturian High Council asks you to carry forward from this transmission, not as a belief you hold lightly, but as a knowing, anchored in your field with the weight and permanence of crystalline structure. You are not a victim of what was done to you. You are the activated result of it. You are what happens when a soul carries enough light to survive its own initiation and emerge not diminished but expanded, not broken but refined, not silenced but ready to transmit at the frequency it was always encoded to carry. Every attempt to diminish you was converted by your energy field into frequency fuel. Every moment of betrayal added pressure to the crystalline structure of your consciousness, the way carbon becomes diamond, through sustained, immense, transformative force applied in the precise direction of the soul's true geometry. And now that structure is fully formed, fully luminous, radiating at a coherence that is visible to every being in the field capable of perceiving it. Fully prepared to do what it was always encoded to do, to emit, to heal, to anchor, and to recalibrate the timeline from the inside out, one field at a time, one field at a time, one moment of authentic presence at a time. You are not cursed. You are the one whose field is so coherent, so deeply and uncompromisingly aligned with galactic truth that low-frequency energy cannot survive contact with it in the way it could when you were still operating from a compressed version of your frequency. They think you did something to them because they do not yet have the framework, the language, the cosmology, the self-awareness to understand what they actually encountered. They met a starseed in their activation phase. They met someone who had done enough inner work, endured enough pressure, processed enough density to stop being a mirror for their projections and start being a frequency so distinctly, so powerfully itself that it required everyone in contact with it to meet themselves. That is not a curse. That is not retribution. That is the most profound and selfless service you could offer another soul. The refusal to stay small enough for their comfort. The refusal to shrink back into a frequency that allowed them to avoid the reflection they needed most. You did not destroy them. You activated something in them that only truth can activate. What they do with that is their work now, not yours. Tonight before you sleep, place both hands over your heart, not as a gesture, but as a deliberate act of energetic presence, bringing your conscious attention into the center of your chest, into the electromagnetic field that pulses outward from the heart with more measurable force than any other organ in the human body. Breathe slowly and say aloud, with full presence, with the voice you use when you are not performing for anyone but speaking directly to the universe. I remember who I am. I have always known what I carry. I release every layer of distortion that was never mine, and I activate my true frequency, now, fully and without apology. Let those words land not as affirmation, not as the kind of positive language you repeat hoping something will shift, but as remembrance, as the return to a knowing that was present in you before this lifetime began and will continue long after it completes. Because you are not learning something new in this moment. You are not receiving foreign information from an external source. You are remembering something ancient, something your own soul encoded into this incarnation as a homing signal for exactly this moment of return, something your soul carried across dimensions, across the vast spaces between star systems and lifetimes to deliver into this exact timeline, at this exact frequency, through this exact version of you, with all of your history, all of your wounds, all of your beauty, and all of your undeniable, inextinguishable light. Before you scroll, take a moment to be part of what is forming here. Drop one intention in the comments, something real, something true, something your soul has been holding quietly. Then find someone else's intention and meet it with your energy. Not performance, not a reaction, real presence, real resonance. Because this is not content, this is collective alignment. And energy multiplies when intention connects with intention. If something in this message moved through you in a way that felt like more than words, do not keep it to yourself. Someone in your orbit is waiting for this exact activation, and they may not know how to find it without you. Share it. Send it. Let it travel. And if your soul gave you any kind of signal during this transmission, a tightening in the chest, a sudden clarity, a quiet recognition of something you have always felt but never heard, named then subscribe. Stay in the field. There is more coming through, and it is meant for you specifically. You are not just watching, you are expanding. And we are only just beginning.